One of the most frustrating things about Naruto isn't who was strong, it was who could have been stronger. Because for some of the most hyped up characters in the entire series, we never actually saw them at their peak. They were either taken out too early, written off, or only shown when they were already past their prime. And if we're being real, some of these characters might have been top tier threats in the entire verse. Let's start with Hiruzen Sarutobi. Most people remember him as the old Hokage who fought Orochimaru and barely held on. But that version of Hiruzen, that's not his prime. Not even close, apparently. This is a man who earned the nickname the Professor because he supposedly mastered every jutsu in the Leaf Village, have all 5 chakra natures, every combat style, every technique worth knowing. And early in the series, he was hyped up to be stronger than Hashirama and Tobirama. Now yeah, they got their get back later, but the intent was clear. Prime Hiruzen was meant to be an absolute monster. Imagine him younger, faster reaction time, larger chakra reserves, no emotional hesitation against Orochimaru. That fight would have looked completely different. What we saw wasn't peak Hiruzen, it was a failed father figure at the very end of his run. Next up, Fugaku Uchiha. This one honestly feels like wasted potential. He was the leader of the Uchiha clan during one of the most tense periods in Konoha history. You don't get that position unless you're really strong, period. There are even implications that Fugaku had the Mangekyo Sharingan, more so in the light novel, but the story never fully dives into it. And here's the part people overlook. He was considered for Hokage alongside Minato. That alone should tell you the level he was operating at. But despite all that, we never see him go all out. No full fight, no real showcase, just statements and silence. And the craziest part, he raised Itachi Uchiha, one of the most talented shinobi ever, and still had his respect. That's not normal. Now let's talk about Kushina Uzumaki. She's one of the most underrated characters in the entire series. People reduce her to Naruto's mom, but in reality, she was a perfect candidate level Jinchuriki. Before Naruto, she was the host of the Nine Tails, and she had the chakra and willpower to actually contain it. And then there's her signature ability, those sealing chains. These weren't just strong, they were strong enough to restrain Kurama himself. And she did that right after giving birth and right after having the Nine Tails extracted. That's not normal strength. That's absurd. Now imagine her in her prime, full vitality, full chakra reserves, and no external weakening. She could have been a sealing specialist on a level we barely got to see. And honestly, she might have rivaled some of the strongest Konoichi in the series. It would have been even more awesome if she was able to incorporate the sealing in her techniques so we can get an idea of how the Uzumaki operated. Seems like wasted potential to me. Then there's Sakumo Hatake, the White Fang. This is where we probably got robbed the most in the series. Sakumo was said to be stronger than the legendary Sannin, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru. That's not a small statement. That's insane. His reputation alone made enemies retreat on sight, and yet we never see him fight, not once. Instead, his story is about how he chose to save his comrades over completing a mission, and how the village turned its back on him for it. That decision broke him, but strength-wise, we're talking about someone who was likely operating at a level close to, if not equal to, Hokage level shinobi, and we only know that through dialogue. A fight against him and Sage Mode Jiraiya is tough to imagine, but considering the statements made about him, he had to have been one of the most vicious ninja the Leaf ever saw. And then finally, we have Shisui Uchiha. If there's one character who could have changed everything, it's him. Shisui had access to Koromatsukami, one of the most broken genjutsu abilities in the entire series. This wasn't just illusion-based combat, this was straight up mind control without the target even realizing it. No resistance, no awareness, just complete manipulation. Like being in love with a Latina. On top of that, his speed was legendary. He earned the name Shisui of the Body Flicker for a reason. Even Danzo, one of the most paranoid characters in the series, saw him as such a threat that he took his eye. That says everything. Now think about the possibilities. Both Mangekyo abilities fully developed, no interference from Danzo, working alongside Itachi at full strength, a Susanoo that's canon and not regulated to the Storm games. Think about it. The Uchiha massacre might not have even happened. That's how impactful Shisui could have been. What makes all this so interesting is that these characters don't need full screen time to feel powerful. Their reputation carries them, for better or worse. The statements, the reactions from other characters, the small glimpses we get, it all builds this idea that they were monsters in the Naruto world moving in the background that we never truly got to see unleashed. And maybe that's the point, because sometimes what you don't see ends up being more interesting than what you do. Which is why I see Minato as an overrated character, since while we do see some showings of his after him getting gassed up to a T, it doesn't justify the glaze that people love to give him. Speaking of which, if you want to see more videos like this, click the card you see here, which will take you to my video talking about how dangerous Minato could have been if he was kept in the story longer. Also, out of all these characters I listed, who do you think would have been the strongest in their prime? And is there anyone else you think deserves to be on this list? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm the curly haired Hokage, and I hope you all have an amazing and blessed day. Peace.